Something wild just happened at Kansas, and no, it's not just about the engine failure. Because what Cleetus McFarland said after the race has fans laughing, confused, and honestly kind of impressed at the same time. This wasn't your typical frustrated driver interview. No anger, no excuses, no blaming the team. Instead, Cleetus turned a race-ending failure into one of the most entertaining moments of the entire weekend. And the way he reacted? That's what everyone is talking about right now. So what exactly did Cleetus say after his early exit? And why are fans calling this one of the most unexpected post-race interviews of the season? Because what happens next will genuinely surprise you. So don't miss this, and make sure you stay with me till the end of this video. If you enjoy NASCAR stories, real reactions, and the biggest moments from the sport, make sure you subscribe to NASCAR Nation News, drop a like on the video. We're pushing for 1,000 subscribers. And let me know in the comments, did Cleetus handle this the right way? Alright, so let's break this down properly. Cleetus McFarland came into Kansas with a lot of attention on him, not just because he's a content creator stepping into real competition, but because every time he gets behind the wheel, people are watching closely. Some are supporting him, some are doubting him, and some are just waiting to see what happens next. And for a while in this race, things were actually going pretty solid. He made it deep into the event, completing 77 laps, which is a big deal considering the level of competition and pressure. That alone shows he's not just here for show, he's trying to learn and improve. But then, everything changed. Engine failure. Just like that, his race was over. Now, normally this is the moment where drivers come out frustrated, disappointed, sometimes even angry. But Cleetus? He went in a completely different direction. When he came out of the infield care center and started talking about the race, the first thing he said wasn't about the failure. It wasn't about what went wrong. Instead, he said something that instantly caught everyone off guard. He said, "Did you see that drift through turn 1 and 2? That was awesome. Think about that for a second." His race just ended early, and he's out here talking about a drift like it's a highlight reel moment. That tells you everything about his mindset. He wasn't focused on the negative. He was focused on the experience. And then he doubled down on that energy. He literally said he's looking forward to seeing the highlight reel of his car. Not complaining, not frustrated, just enjoying the moment. And honestly, that's rare in NASCAR. But he didn't stop there. Cleetus went on to break down his race in a way that was simple, honest, and kind of refreshing. He said making 77 laps felt like a win to him. And then he added something that really stood out. He said if the engine had blown earlier, like around lap 50, he probably would have been a lot more emotional. But because he made it past 75% of the race, he's choosing to take it as a positive. That right there shows growth. Because instead of looking at it as a failure, he's measuring progress. And that's something a lot of new drivers struggle with. Now here's where things got even more interesting. During the interview, Carson Hocevar actually joined in, and the interaction between the two made the whole moment even better. Carson gave him props. He straight up told Cleetus that he did a good job, especially considering that when Carson himself had a similar issue, he ended up wrecking. So in a way, Cleetus actually handled the situation better than expected. But then Carson added a bit of humor. He joked that maybe Cleetus has been hanging out with him too much, because blowing engines is something Carson has been dealing with lately. And that back and forth? It made the whole interview feel real, not scripted, not forced, just two drivers talking honestly. Then Cleetus brought up something else that fans are now replaying over and over. He talked about running the high line near the wall, and he said he felt like Kyle Larson up there. He described it as one of the coolest things he's ever done. Now that's a bold comparison, but at the same time, you can tell he was genuinely excited about the moment. For him, that wasn't just another lap, that was an experience. And that excitement is exactly what's bringing new fans into the sport. Then came one of the funniest parts of the entire interview. Cleetus started talking about his sponsor, and he literally said he hopes they don't drop him after this race. But the way he said it, joking, relaxed, and completely self-aware, it didn't feel like pressure. It felt like someone who understands the situation but still keeps things light. And that's not something you usually see after a DNF. But maybe the most surprising moment came when they replayed his drift. As the footage rolled, Cleetus reacted in real time, saying it looked like a bald eagle flying. He even admitted that in that moment, he didn't really know exactly where he was on track, he just went for it. And then he said something that perfectly sums up his entire approach. He said he channeled his inner Ricky Bobby. That right there explains everything. He's not overthinking it. He's not trying to be perfect. He's just driving, learning, and enjoying the ride. And whether you agree with his style or not, you can't deny one thing. It's entertaining. Even the broadcast team seemed surprised by how energetic and positive the whole interview was. They literally called it one of the most spirited care center interviews they've seen. And that says a lot. Because usually, those interviews are serious, tense, and focused on what went wrong. But this one? It felt completely different. Now let's be real for a second. There are still questions around Cleetus McFarland. Is he ready for this level full time? Can he handle the pressure week after week? And how will he respond when things don't go his way? Kansas didn't answer all of those questions, but it did show something important. It showed his mindset. And in racing, mindset matters more than people think. Because talent can be developed. Experience comes with time. But attitude? That's something you either have or you don't. And right now, Cleetus is showing that he's willing to learn, adapt, and most importantly, stay positive, even when things go wrong. So while the engine failure ended his race early, it didn't end the conversation. In fact, it might have made it even bigger. Because now fans aren't just talking about where he finished. They're talking about how he handled it. And in today's NASCAR world, that matters more than ever. So the real question now is, what happens next? Does Cleetus build on this experience and come back stronger? Or do these setbacks start to add up over time? That's what everyone will be watching. But one thing is clear after Kansas. Cleetus McFarland didn't just leave the track with a DNF. He left with attention, momentum, and one of the most talked about interviews of the weekend.